February 28th, 2026, 6:35 UTC. The United States and Israel launched 900 strikes against Iran in the first 12 hours. Iran's supreme leader was dead before breakfast. Iran fired back, hitting 7 countries in 48 hours, closing the Strait of Hormuz and striking every US base in the Middle East. These are the 20 weapons that fought the most consequential war of the 21st century, US and Israeli weapons. The F-35 Ayadir, Israel's modified Airbus F-35 with Israeli electronic warfare systems and source code level avionics no other operator possesses, penetrated Iranian airspace in the opening hours of Operation Roaring Lion on February 28, 2026. An F-35 Ayadir shot down an Iranian Yak-130 over Tehran. The first time in history, a stealth fighter destroyed a crewed aircraft in combat. It was also the first time the Israeli Air Force shot down an aircraft since 1985. A Marine Corps squadron of F-35Cs from USS Abraham Lincoln, operating south of Iran, also participated in the strikes. About a dozen F-22s deployed to Israel just ahead of the operation. The first time the air superiority fighter had gone there for combat operations, escorting strike aircraft and engaging air-to-air threats. By February 2026, Iran's air defenses had been so degraded by the June 2025 campaign that F-35I operations over Iranian territory had become, by any previous standard, routine. The B-2 Spirit and the GBU-57 massive ordnance penetrator, America's stealth strategic bomber carrying a 13,600 kilogram bunker-busting weapon that penetrates 60 meters of reinforced concrete. The B-2 was used alongside B-1 Lancers and B-52 Stratofortresses in the opening hours of Epic Fury. The GBU-57 was used against Fordow, Iran's most deeply buried enrichment facility, built inside a mountain to survive conventional strikes. Operation Midnight Hammer in June 2025 had already destroyed Natanz and Isfahan. Only the B-2 and the GBU-57 could reach Fordow. The B-1B Lancer and B-52 Stratofortress. America's conventional heavy bombers delivering sustained strike capacity the small B-2 fleet alone could not maintain. The B-1B carries up to 34,000 kilograms of precision munitions. The B-52 carried AGM-86 cruise missiles. Together they struck Iranian ballistic missile infrastructure, IRGC facilities, and military-industrial targets across multiple waves throughout the 40-day campaign. The Tomahawk cruise missile. Multiple U.S. Navy destroyers accompanying USS Gerald R. Ford and USS Abraham Lincoln fired Tomahawks against Iranian targets in the opening hours. Range 1,600 kilometers. The same ships patrolling those waters for years launched weapons pre-authorized before the first public announcement. America's first kinetic answer, fired before most of the world knew the war had started. The PrSM, Precision Strike Missile, combat debut. The Army's Precision Strike Missile was confirmed by CENTCOM in a post showing PrSM launched from HIMARS against Iranian targets. Range exceeding 500 kilometers, enough to strike inside Iran from positions across the Persian Gulf. Developed to replace the ATACMS, which first saw combat in Desert Storm. Epic Fury was its debut. A weapon that graduated from testing range to combat in under 3 years. The Lucas Drone, low-cost, uncrewed combat attack system. Combat debut during Epic Fury's opening days. The US military reverse-engineered Iran's own Shahed 136, built an American version, and used it against Iran in the same war. A weapon designed by studying the enemy's weapon, deployed against the enemy's own infrastructure. The strategic irony was complete. The Arrow 3. Iran's pre-war arsenal stood at approximately 2,500 missiles. Iran fired hundreds in the opening days. 95 documented strike waves by April 4, 2026. Arrow 3 intercepted Sejel and Khorramshahr missiles above the atmosphere. It performed at its design specification. but the volume of Iranian fire was specifically designed to exhaust its interceptor stocks. The system worked. Whether it can be replenished faster than Iran can reload remains the war's unanswered question. The THAAD, deployed across Gulf partner nations. One of the most consequential Iranian strikes destroyed the AN/TPY-2 THAAD radar at Muwafaq Salti Air Base in Jordan, one of only 9 such radars in the entire US global inventory, valued at $300 million. Al Jazeera Center for Studies described this as blinding US eyes in the Middle East. More than 800 interceptors, representing billions of dollars, were used to defeat $20,000 Iranian drones. The asymmetry defined the economic logic of the entire war. The Iron Dome. Operating continuously against Shahed drone barrages fired simultaneously with ballistic salvos, forcing Iron Dome to engage cheap drones while Arrow 3 engaged expensive missiles, depleting interceptor stocks across multiple layers at once. The UAE alone reported 1,422 detected drones and 246 missiles between February 28th and March 8th. Iron Dome intercepted thousands. The cost calculation was never in Israel's favor, and both sides knew it. The EA-18G Growler, America's electronic warfare aircraft, jamming Iranian radar networks to create the corridors through which strike packages operated. Both carriers in the region carried EA-18S, confirmed in CENTCOM photos during Epic Fury. Without it, Iranian SAM systems would have had targeting solutions on American aircraft. With it, Iranian operators saw gaps that were corridors of attack. The invisible weapon that explains why no American manned aircraft was lost to Iranian fire. Iranian weapons. The Sejil-M RBM, Iran's most capable solid-fuel ballistic missile. Range 2,000 kilometers. Maneuvering re-entry vehicle designed to defeat interceptor radar tracking in the terminal phase. Fired in mass salvos throughout Operation True Promise 4. Iran switched from GPS to China's Beidou 3 navigation system, using frequency hopping and encryption technology that made electronic jamming significantly harder than in previous conflicts. Iran entered the war with approximately 2,500 missiles and was still firing coordinated salvos at day 35, despite the most intense, sustained strikes on missile infrastructure in modern history. The underground missile city network, silos and tunnels, built over 2 decades specifically to survive exactly this kind of campaign, was the single factor that ensured Iran's retaliatory capability outlasted the coalition's ability to destroy it from the air. The Khorramshahr 4, Iran's heaviest ballistic missile, 2-ton warhead, terminal speed exceeding Mach 14, fired against Israeli cities and US bases throughout the conflict. 19 people were injured after one hit a Beersheba neighborhood. The Khorramshahr 4's mass and velocity made it the most difficult Iranian weapon to intercept. Its kinetic energy at terminal phase created effects that even near-miss intercepts could not fully neutralize. The Khaybar-Shekan with cluster warheads, Iran's maneuverable re-entry vehicle missile, adapted mid-conflict for a specific purpose. Approximately half of Iran's 300 ballistic missiles fired toward Israel carried cluster warheads dispersing 20 to 24 submunitions each. Kinetic energy impactors targeting exposed radar antennas, command posts, and BMD sensor arrays. Iran had studied Western air defense architecture for years and designed a submunition specifically to blind it. The cluster warhead, Khaybar-Shekan, destroyed the THAAD radar in Jordan. The component no missile defense system had been designed to protect against submunition attack. The Fatah-1 hypersonic missile, Iran's first domestically produced hypersonic missile, unveiled June 2023, combat deployed 2026. The Fatah-1 uses a solid-fuel post-boost motor inside the re-entry vehicle itself, firing after the main booster burns out, altering trajectory in a phase where no current interceptor has a reliable engagement solution. Western analysts debated its true hypersonic capability. What was not disputed? It forced Aero 3 to engage at maximum capability against a maneuvering terminal phase target, the scenario the system was least designed for. The Shahed 136, Iran's piston-engine kamikaze drone, the backbone of the attrition campaign. By day 5, Iran had fired approximately 2,000 one-way attack drones. The Shahed 136 formed the bulk of that count. Unit cost, $20,000. Cost of the interceptor fired to destroy it, $800,000 to $3 million. The weapon that turned air defense economics upside down, and which the United States had already reverse-engineered and deployed against Iran in the same war. The Shahed 238. The jet-powered successor, introduced specifically to defeat the gun-based close-in systems that had achieved high interception rates against the propeller-driven original. Speed, 500 to 600 kilometers per hour. GPS, electro-optical, and anti-radiation guidance options. Deployed at scale during Epic Fury for the first time. It forced every defending nation in the Gulf to use expensive interceptor missiles against a $50,000 target. Iran had 2 years to study Western counter-drone tactics. The Shahed 238 was the answer. The Hadid 110. First confirmed combat deployment. A jet-powered suicide drone launched from an unmanned underwater vehicle, eliminating any surface launch signature. Its appearance confirmed Iran had integrated underwater drone launch into its operational arsenal. No defending navy had a doctrine for a threat originating below the surface, flying at jet speed with no crew. The Hadid 110 didn't change the war's outcome. It changed what every navy must plan for next. The IRGC Navy, swarm boats, and mines. Iran closed the Strait of Hormuz on March 4th, 2026. Commercial shipping traffic dropped more than 90%. IRGC swarm boats, naval mines, and ship seizures turned the world's most critical oil choke point into a combat zone. 150 freight ships stalled. Iran struck 4 commercial vessels, including a fatal strike on tanker MKDV Yom. Iran could not win the air war. It made the air war cost the world 20% of its daily oil supply. The Strait was the weapon America could not bomb, the Fateh 110 and proxy network. Hezbollah, Houthi forces in Yemen, and Iranian-backed militias in Iraq fired Iranian-supplied Fateh 110 and Zulfiqar missiles at US bases simultaneously with Iran's direct strikes. A multi-front pressure campaign designed to stretch coalition air defense resources across 7 countries at once. The 5th Fleet headquarters in Bahrain sustained damage. Al Udeid in Qatar, Al Dhafra in the UAE, and Ain al-Assad in Iraq were all hit, with at least 64 US service members sustaining concussive injuries at Ain al-Assad alone. NBC News reported Iran struck over 100 targets across 11 bases in 7 countries. Equipment destroyed totaled an estimated $2.3 to $2.8 billion, according to Al Jazeera citing Pentagon data. Total infrastructure repair costs exceeded $5 billion per AEI estimates. Iran had spent 40 years arming its proxies with its own missiles. Epic Fury was the first time that network fired at full scale, simultaneously, from multiple countries at once. The Iranian F-5 Tiger II. In one of the war's most remarkable tactical episodes, a manned Northrop F-5 Tiger II, a 1960s-era airframe that Iran has operated since the Shah's era, penetrated US and coalition air defenses over Kuwait to bomb a target. The aircraft exploited a roughly 120-second detection-to-impact window by flying at very low altitude, below radar coverage thresholds, while air defenses above were fully saturated, engaging simultaneous drone and missile salvos. In a separate incident, Kuwaiti forces mistakenly shot down 3 US F-15 E-Strike Eagles in the chaos. The pilots safely ejected, but the friendly fire incident revealed how badly saturation tactics had degraded coordination across the coalition's integrated air defense network. The F-5 is a trainer. It was built when the Shah still ruled Iran. It succeeded where modern weapons failed, not because it was sophisticated, but because the most advanced air defense network in history was looking up when it came in low.